Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I sow onion sets. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment and also my home kitchen. Now, you'll have to excuse the noise, it's that time of year, so someone's obviously doing some chainsawing. The first thing I've done is I've dug over the soil. As you can see, we've got a little friendly blackbird over there that's looking for the worms. So quite often when you're digging up at the allotment, you often find birds really quite close to where you're digging, because they know that you're not going to hurt them and they're ready for all those worms that are coming out from the ground. It's actually quite lovely. We're having lots of birds around you. So the onions I'm going to be sowing today, I sow red onions and white onions, but today I'm just sowing my white onions. I often sow my red ones in a few weeks' time. So the white onions I've got are Centurion, you can see that variety there, and Stuttgarter. Now they're both varieties that I've tried and tested before, and they are very, very effective. So, like I said, the first thing I've done is I've dug over the soil to remove all the weeds, get rid of all the lumps. The next thing I've done is I've levelled the ground out as best I could, because I'm quite clayey here. I've got this really fantastic tool that I inherited off my father, which absolutely is like a gift from God at this time of year, because sometimes it's really hard, especially when you're clayey, and obviously remove any little tufts of grass that you see. You won't get them all out, but do the best you can. This really works so well to smooth out and get the lumps out. Really quite fantastic. Very impressed. This is the first year I've ever used one of these, and if you've not already got one of these, it's a type of handheld rotavator. We will try and find one and put it in the description if you want to purchase one, but I did inherit this one off my father, and I've got to say I'm incredibly impressed with it. As you can see, it really does, you know, you have to give it a little bit of elbow grease, but it's really quite fantastic. So this is something I'm going to be using quite a bit. There we go. I think I'm about ready. So lay that over the side there. First of all, you need to take the onions out of the bag. Something that I use to sow my onions with is I use a little dibber. It's a far easier way of getting them into the ground. So if you've not got one of those, that's something you will use all throughout the year. They're really handy to do lots of things, especially when you're planting your leeks. Essential bit of kit for leeks, because you need to get them deep into the ground. So let's get these out, and I will show you. Sometimes it's easier when you're planting things not to have gloves on, but each to their own. It's just a little bit easier to handle things. So you need them about 20 centimetres apart, and then about 30 centimetres in between the rows. So it's really, really quite simple with what you do. You literally just pop the dibber into the ground. You don't want the hole to be too deep. You're literally just making it big enough just to drop the onion in. So it's just on the, you know, just below the surface. So you can see, you don't cover it back in, you don't backfill it, you just leave it like that. So like I say, I see a lot of people sowing their onion sets virtually like that, which, I don't know, good luck if you do it that way, but my dad's never done it like that, my granddad's never done it like that. So I always sow them that way, because they need to root into the ground obviously, so they get the moisture and they'll be more susceptible to the birds. Now I estimate about 20 centimetres is probably about there. So it doesn't have to be mega exact. And then you just drop it down, and if you pop it in the ground and you think that the hole's not, you know, it's too deep, then you just backfill it a little bit with the dibber. But the dibber just makes life a heck of a lot easier to get it in the ground, especially if you've got a slightly clay soil. I've dug plenty of organic matter into this allotment, but still we are a little bit clayey here, and today is a particularly sticky day, I've got to say. So, but you know, you can still get stuff done. There we go, you just pop it in, and so we just go up the rows. Now these are what I call my main crop onions. So these are the ones they'll grow and they'll probably flop over some point in July. I've already got onions in the ground. These are overwintering ones that are already in the ground. They're perfectly good onions, but the overwintering ones, if you've already got those in, don't store as well. So you have to eat them much quicker. Whereas these main crop ones, they store incredibly well if you dry them out correctly. I have got a video on that which we can attach, so that you know how to dry onions. It really is quite simple. You do literally just dig them and let them dry. So it's not a difficult process, but you know, like I say, we'll attach a video so you know how to do that too. But like I say, the other thing that's really important, and I know it's really obvious, but I have seen people query it before, and that's not a good example because that's a bit of a manky one. But these, just make sure you put them in the right way round. So you've got a little bit of root on the bottom, and that's the bit that goes into the ground, and the pointed bit is the bit that comes out of the top. Now I know this might seem to you a little bit like sucking eggs, but I do sometimes see queries on the forum, and then do you know what, if you've never done it before, how on earth would you know how things grow? Do you know what I mean? It's only the fact that I've grown up with planting onions and various other crops. Do I know how these things grow and how it all works? So yeah. Onions are a really easy thing to grow as well. That's another thing I would say, and incredibly cheap to purchase. So it's a really good thing to grow if you've never grown anything before. The only thing that you do need to do is you do need to make sure you keep the area weed free, as they're growing all throughout the season. And if it's particularly dry, then you need to water them. Today, this time of year, I wouldn't water these in. I know it seems really odd, I'm planting something and I'm not watering it, but honestly, they'll be fine. But as the year progresses and it starts to dry out throughout the year in the summer, they will need a little bit of watering if it's dry, because obviously they won't grow. So I really hope this has helped you and inspired you to plant some onion sets in the coming weeks. And if you've got any questions or queries, as usual, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments.